All right, folks, how you doing? My name's Bill Hoy, and this is another video. Um, I've got a website domain name and getting my website going. It's got some videos on it, but it's still a work in progress. It's willhoy.com. I'm also bhoy333 on BitChute and bhoy333 at Minds. I think I said, did I say 33? Bhoy333, BitChute and Minds. And I also have a natural law podcast. It's Natural Law Podcast by Bill Hoy, and it's find it on Spotify. You could also just type it in any search engine, and it came up for me. I typed it in on Google, DuckDuckGo, and it came up for me. This title of this video is Freedom, the Key to Human Survival. Before I start, I just want to give a little shout out to let people out west know that I'm thinking about them. That this temperate weather we're having out here in the east is not fooling me. I know it's climate engineering programs, and I know that it's at these temperate temperatures we're having out here are at the expense of you people out west, and as a result of your suffering. And I'll tell you right now, man, in the past 2 days, today I think is the 16th and 17th of September 2020. The sky has been the sun's been almost completely blocked out. I can see the wildfire particles up in the sky, and I know these climate engineers are using these wildfires for several different objectives, and I just want to let you people out west know that I'm thinking about you, and this is affecting all of us. And people don't want to look into climate engineering. People don't want to look into artificial ice nucleation. So I just want to mention that. So let's move on. Once again, title of video: Freedom, the Key to Human Survival. What is freedom? Freedom is the state of being. This is my definition. Freedom is the state of being that exists constantly in nature. A free society exists when the overwhelming majority of individuals can exert their free will morally without interference from other living beings of higher intelligence in that society. Okay, we are already a society that we can exert our free will. We can do that. We're just not doing it morally. Okay, every sentient being has free will. We're all free. Unfortunately, we live in a condition of slavery due to the existence of the state and all the transgressions that we engage in. Yes, the state is us, folks. Don't blame the politicians. I mean, yes, well, you can blame them. I mean, but they're just the facilitators, folks. Okay, we're the ones, folks. These politicians cannot do what they do without us complying and enforcing their dictates. Okay, so where was I? Yes, the transgressions that we engage in as a result of our participation in the state. Taxation, drug laws, prostitution laws, mask laws, and soon-to-be mandatory vaccinations for all people are conditions of slavery we choose to live under. We're doing this to ourselves, folks. We're doing this to ourselves. Okay? And unfortunately, we have the free will to do this to ourselves. That's what the Creator gives us. Creator gives us free will, and we're using it to enslave ourselves. We're not using it to be free. Humans can use their free will to engage in moral behavior or immoral behavior. I've discussed that. There are results for both the former and the latter. Natural law is in effect, folks. It doesn't matter whether you follow it or not. The consequences are going to be there. We're going to get into that later in pretty much the last slide. We're going to cover that. There are results for both the former and the latter. I said that. Natural laws of behavior for humans are in effect and are a guide for us to align our actions with to retain the ability to use our free will ubiquitously. It means everywhere. So that's I covered all that. Okay, let's move on. How do you know when you are truly free? You are truly free when you acknowledge the objective truth that no other human being has any authority over your life and translate that thought into action in the real world. I want to give a shout out on this note to the Atlas gym owner in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, United States, who he stood up for what he knew was his right to engage in his moral business, the weight gym. He stood up for his right. I give him credit. He had courage to do that. How many people out here in the world are having the courage to stand up to this? You can count them on one hand. And I just got to say that, he knew he at least, I'm not saying he knew natural law, but I'm saying he at least knew the truth that no other human being has any authority to tell him that he can't run his gym, a moral business. He knew that the governor didn't have that authority. Go inside the box. These governors don't have the authority to tell people they can't run their businesses, and forget about it. Outside the box, they definitely don't. No human being has the right to tell another human being they can't run a moral business, legitimate business, legitimate meaning moral. So just want to give a shout out to that gym owner. He had a lot of courage, and unfortunately, he was thrown in a cage by order followers, by the governor's order followers. And folks, I'll tell you something. Oh, I know a good policeman, folks. There's no such thing as a good policeman. No such thing. The only good policeman is a policeman that quits their job. And that's not to say we can't have people that live in our communities that solve community problems and help people protect their life and property. We can have all that. But this policing system that we have, top down, it's got to go. And there's an example right there. A man being thrown in a cage by order followers, the police, for running a weight gym, a business where people can go and get healthy. So I got a lot more to talk about that. I might do just a little segment on that. But I just want to move through this. Maybe I'll get back to it. The only requirement for us to be able to use our free will uninterrupted is to adhere to universal laws of behavior. Everyone has to know and understand natural law, and no one will interfere with anybody's free will as long as they're engaging it morally. If you're doing immoral things with your free will, you will be interrupted and you'll be stopped. That's what a free society is all about. And that's the problem. Once again, I'll go back to agencies like the police, the military, all these order followers. They shield this ruling class, and they're able to engage and look into these satanic networks, the Church of Satan, and these people are able to engage in evils, and they're protected. And this is what we have to do. And people have to know and understand natural law, and that won't happen. These people won't be protected. When people are asked to do something immoral, when someone's asked, hey, go shut down that gym owner, I told him he has to close his gym, and he doesn't want to. You need to go over there and shut him down. Well, the first thing someone who understands natural law would say, well, is he doing anything immoral? Is he harming anybody? No. Well, I'm not shutting him down then. You go shut him down then, Governor. Okay? So, let's continue. Many people think they are free. This is true from a universal standpoint. However, anyone who blindly obeys orders, those people who kidnapped that gym owner and threw him in a cage, anyone who worships false belief systems that result in harm to others, all these people that think that those men had the right to throw that Atlas gym guy in a cage, okay, accepts infringements on their own and other people's free will rights, accepts the fact that people can say you cannot run your business, and people think, well, I don't have my own business, so it doesn't affect me. Yes, it does affect you. What if you want to what if you lose your job and you want to run a business, and then the governor tells you, no, you can't run that business? Yes, it does. It affects everybody. Just because it doesn't affect you directly doesn't mean it's not affecting you. It affects everyone. When one person's freedom is interrupted and disrupted, all of our freedom is being transgressed against. And then also eats the flesh of animals as a constant dietary practice. And once again, I'll read it all over because I was breaking it up a little bit. So many people think they're free. This is true from a universal standpoint. However, anyone who blindly obeys orders, worships false belief systems that result in harm to others, accepts infringements on their own and other people's free will rights, and eats the flesh of animals as a constant dietary practice, when I'm going to touch more on this, is not truly free in their own minds. Okay? So let's move on. What is morality? Morality is objective. Objective, folks. Objective. It is physical behavior that's correct. It is correct not to harm another sentient being. A right is just this. It's right or correct. See, people get confused when they think of what is a right. What, you don't have the right. I have the right. Right just means right. It means correct. It's that simple. And when a child spells a word correctly, the teacher says right or correct. It is this simple. Okay? So don't get confused with the right, right. Right is just right, correct. That's what it is. The Bill of Rights, our bill are a bill of correct actions. Okay, I had to pause for a second. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure I was on when a child spells a word correctly, the teacher says right or correct. I mean, that's what a right is. Don't get so confused in the right or a right. It's just right. That's what it is. Like I said, in the Constitution, they're just right actions. They're rights. And that's what a right is. A right is correct. And when you don't harm another sentient being, that's correct. People don't understand math problems. There's an objective correct answer for a math problem. 2 + 2 is always 4. That's the correct answer. You're correct. And there's objective right answers for behavior. People think that they can just in their mind make up what they want a right behavior to be, and you can't. And there's going to be consequences for that. So now let's go into which for a while I thought that beliefs, if you want to believe something, you're free to believe something. But as I started learning more about natural law and discovering the truth, that's not true, folks. So let's go into it. So a belief is a thought that results in a physical behavior. Okay? Beliefs turn into actions. If someone believes in something that is incorrect, that's not always immoral. Okay, if you want to believe that you have a imaginary friend that hangs out with you, as long as that imaginary friend doesn't tell you to murder somebody or something, or do something immoral, then that's fine. You can have your imaginary friend. You want to believe in unicorns in the sky? That I don't know. I don't think the unicorns would last very long, breathing in all those aerosols and wildfire smoke. But if you want to believe in unicorns flying in the sky, that's fine. That doesn't harm anybody, okay? But when you believe in something like government, or when you believe in the existence of a military that kills people, okay? I was in the military. The military is a death cult. It's a death cult. Kill, kill, kill. That's what I remember for all the those 3 months of basic training. I think I said the word kill like 50 million times. Okay, it's a death cult. Okay. So beliefs turn into actions. So when someone believes in unicorns, what actions does that turn into? They just sit around and want to believe in unicorns. Nobody gets harmed from that. However, if someone believes in something that results in themselves or other people harming other sentient beings, that is incorrect and immoral. And when we lend our thoughts and perceptions to these evil systems, they continue. I'm going to go into that. So, once again, like I said, if someone believes in something that results in themselves or other people harming other sentient beings, that is incorrect and immoral. And now I keep forgetting, I should have corrected this. Behaviors, when it comes to morality, behaviors must always be correct in order to live in freedom. When it comes to morality, okay, when it comes to morality, behaviors must always be correct in order to live in freedom. Now, don't get overly caught into that and think, oh, he's trying to say we all have to be perfect. No, you don't have to be perfect. And here's the next sentence. We'll cover that. Freedom and enlightenment are progressive and unlimited. Okay, we have to work to align ourselves with natural law, and it's a lifelong journey, and it takes time. Especially with this meat eating, and I'm going to get into that. You don't want to just stop eating meat right away. You gotta wean yourself off it. And as long as you're working to move towards that, you're towards not eating meat anymore. You're on a path to enlightenment. But in order to live in true freedom, moral behaviors must always be correct. But it takes time to get to that point, and the truth is, only the Creator is perfect, folks. Consciousness is universal and infinite, and that's what we can access. We can access that consciousness and raise our human consciousness, but we're just in the gutters of consciousness. I mean, especially here in America, we're just dumbed down idiots. I mean, straight up dumbed down idiots. I mean, people just don't realize how unbelievably stupid they are when they think that there's different races of human beings. You pick up a 5th grade science book, and it'll tell you that there's only one human species. I don't know. Guess most Americans aren't smarter than a 5th grader, are they? Let's move on. So here's the last part here. These are direct relationships, positive relationships. This is a part of what I'm working on. I'm going to be working on a statistical presentation of this. I'm going to be using now I don't know if I'm going to use analysis of variance. I'm brushing up on my statistics and my math, so I got to go over a lot of stuff. But you got sorry, I'm getting distracted, folks. You have I got really distracted. I'm probably going to be using a regression analysis method. Okay, regression analysis method to show these relationships, not to try to wow anybody with amazing statistics. I'm going to keep it plain and simple, and try to really show people how these relationships work. And we got direct relationships here. We got blue and the red, and I would think along the XY axis, your blue relationships would be kind of like two lines running alongside of each other, kind of like a scatter plot, running from the 0 upwards, whereas your direct relationships in the red will be going from up above 0 and down. Like the blue will be going in one direction and the red will be going in another, kind of like that, running alongside each other. I'm pretty sure that's how these would look on a XY axis. And it's a shame that, back in school and during my indoctrination in these math classes, they never really taught us what these things really mean in life. They just taught us, this is what you need to know, this is going to be on a test, all artificial learning. That's why our kids are idiots, because they go to idiot schools. Public schools turn out idiots. Look up John Taylor Gatto, man. I've said this numerous times. Look up John Taylor Gatto, man. So let's move into this. So direct relationships, as morality increases, freedom increases. Okay. That's a natural law. It's a natural universal law of behavior. Okay. So I'll go over there's two columns and rows. I'll go over each row and I'll go from column to column in row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the same over here in the red. So we'll start with the first row here in first column. Morality increases, freedom increases, okay? People stop worshiping the state and teaching obedience to a perceived authority as a virtue. The result? The belief in legitimized violence and coercion will fade among the masses. Next row. People begin to judge behaviors based on objective morality. The result? Blind order following will cease to exist, resulting in a decrease in violence. Next row. People stop eating meat as a dietary practice. Once again, folks, when it comes to eating meat, I think I'll get to that in the red. I'll get to this in the red. Let's just continue. So people stop eating meat as a dietary practice. The suffering of animals will wane, and people will start to better understand the sentient rights of all beings. Folks, I'm telling you, Leo Tolstoy, where there are slaughterhouses, there would be battlefields. When we slaughter these animals, and people think, well, these animals are being slaughtered and they're being used as food. So it's not just slaughtering an animal and senselessly. And yeah, I mean, that's a slight improvement, I guess. But I mean, it's still actually, maybe it's not an improvement, to be honest with you. Maybe I think that may actually be even worse, because when you slaughter an animal and then you eat its flesh, that's total domination. That's total domination over another sentient being. So that may not even be much better. And look, folks, if I had nothing to eat and I'm dying and somebody offers me a number 2 sub, Italian sub with the ham, cheese, capicola, and all that, I'm going to eat it. Okay? All right? If we're starving and there's an animal outside and I need to eat, I'll kill the animal, okay? And I'll eat it, okay? But that I've touched on that before, I think, in my podcast, about how that the whole eating of animals really is an unsustainable, especially in the way we eat them, is an unsustainable practice. Not to mention, food that could be given to us is used to give to these animals. I've covered all this in one of my podcasts. I forget which number podcast it was, but we'll just try to stick with the relationships here. So when we slaughter these animals, we lose our connection for living things. So it makes it easier for us to look at other humans as animals and be insensitive to their slaughter, especially when the slaughter of these animals, especially here in America, is done behind closed doors. We don't actually see it. That's another thing I say. Look, if you're going to eat an animal, at least have the courage to slaughter that animal yourself. It's immoral, but at least have the courage to slaughter that animal yourself and then eat it. Instead, we want that done behind closed doors. We don't want to have that connection with the meat that we eat, and that results in a lack of connection with other humans. Like what's going on, over in the Middle East, how the U.S. military and other militaries, all militaries are immoral. All militaries need to be disbanded. But the U.S. military is just the largest and most active. Our U.S. military is over in the Middle East slaughtering innocent people. But we Americans don't see that, so we're disconnected from it. That's the same kind of connection. This is what I'm trying to tell people. That's the connections here. So people be able to better understand the sentient rights of all beings. Okay, and then people stop. Once again, last column, last row in the blue. People stop worshiping money as the most important thing in life. Look, folks, I'm not talking, when I talk about money worshiping, I'm not talking about these big greedy Wall Street fat cats or these, what was that show during the 90s? True Greed, the man who ripped off all these old ladies and for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, and I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the regular average Joe who forms his value system of himself and herself based on what money they make and what stuff they have and what their job is, their ego identifications. I'm talking about the person who thinks that they're doing the right thing, working at a job that's engaged in some form of immorality just to put food on the table for their kids. That's what I'm talking about. That's the money worshiping I'm talking about. I'm talking about the person that allows their job to punk them. Especially during this CV-19 fake pandemic. You have people being told that they can't have family members over their own homes by their jobs. Being told what they can and cannot do in their own homes. I mean, what's next? Are you just going to put the TV in your home so they can watch it like 1984? People punking themselves out, thinking, "Oh well, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing what I have to do to put food on the table for my kids." But no, you're worshiping a monetary system. You're allowing yourself to be punked out for a paycheck. Something to think about. But that's what I'm referring to. And people say, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what you're supposed to do, dude. You're supposed to start looking. You know what you're supposed to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. Start understanding natural law. Start learning natural law. And then decide for yourself what you need to do. Okay? Decide for yourself. Start learning and understanding natural law. Start learning and understanding that this monetary system isn't even real. It's fake value. Do I use it? Yeah, I use it. I use it to procure life necessities, but I'm not working in any immoral, for any immoral occupation. I'm in right livelihood. But folks, look, you can't be a member of this society here in America without being involved in some way, shape, or form with something that's immoral. It's almost impossible. So please don't misunderstand me and try to tell you that I'm trying to say I'm perfect. It's impossible, almost impossible. So, as a result of stopping worshiping the monetary system, the ability of individuals to adhere to objective morality will become common. Get that money system out of the way, and also that belief in obedience as a virtue, and people will be able to start better understanding morality. Look up the Milgram experiments. I mean, that's what's scary about the Milgram experiments. I want to move on, but what's scary about the Milgram experiments is that the people in the experiment, what they were doing, following the authority, they weren't even getting paid to do that, and they were doing horrendous things. Look up the Milgram experiments. So now we're going to go to the red, to, I guess I'll say, the negative relationships. Okay, morality decreasing, freedom decreasing, the negative relationships. Now, on an XY plot, I don't know where I would see. This is, all these things need to be defined, and it's tough. That's why I got to brush up on all this stuff. I don't know where you could say morality and freedom start on an XY axis, but once again, I'm working on all that. The bottom line here is that these are direct relationships. So I'm in the first, starting in the red, first column, first row. People increase their dependence on and participation in the state, and then the result, the attempts to limit free will behaviors will increase from subjective laws. So you got a lot of directionals here: morality decreasing, freedom decreasing, people increasing, behaviors increasing. Okay, you got a lot of different directionals here, but just try to just focus on the direct relationships. Okay, the attempts to limit free will behaviors will increase from subjective laws. And people think, well, we have to have, the state because the state will, have laws against murder, and that's good. Well, first thing, laws against murder don't need to be made because murder is inherently immoral. And all the state does is just make subjective laws and enforce them with order followers. So, second column, people support and participate in police and military institutions, and the result is the attempts to enforce the limiting of free will behaviors with threats, duress, and violence will increase. It's just look at all this stuff and observe, and you'll see it if you're honest with yourself. People continue to eat the flesh of animals. I'm on the third row. Row. People continue to eat the flesh of animals regularly, even when there are other things to consume. That's a big one. There's other things to consume, folks. And once again, I'm not saying stop eating meat right away. I tried a very dramatic stopping of eating meat, and I got sick. It takes time. Took me 1.5 years to stop eating land-based animals. It takes a while. It's hard. It's hard. And you don't want to just stop right away. So once again, like I said in the last slide, objective morality, it's progressive and unlimited. So it's a journey. It's a journey. Okay. So as the result of that will be in row 3, the suffering of sentient beings will increase. Okay, as people continue to eat the flesh of animals regularly, the suffering of sentient beings will increase, and people will lose their sense of true morality and translate that to humans, folks. I covered that in the blue. And last row, people continue to believe in the legitimacy of violent organizations. There's the beliefs. This last one covered some beliefs here. In the blue, the belief in the monetary system, and in the red, the belief in the legitimacy of violent organizations. I have a right to believe I want whatever I want. No, you don't. You don't have the right to believe. And then when you believe in a violent organization, then your actions will translate to that through either actions participating in it or inactions just looking the other way on it. Okay? No, you don't have the right to believe that. So the result is their actions or inactions will provide the base, like I just talked about, for the continuation of slavery. And there's your relationships, folks. There it is. And I hope you try to learn from this video, share it, try to learn. And if you don't think I did a good job, make your own video and put this stuff out there. By all means, please do better than me. Do your own video, please. I mean, really, ideally, I would like to study this stuff for years and then come out with really good stuff that's almost, nothing's perfect, but, close to perfect. And folks, we don't have time. We don't have time for that. We got to flood the airways, folks. We got to flood the airways. I got some strategies that I'm working on trying to get to that, trying to reach the 50% of Trump voters that I think really do want freedom. They just don't know how to go about it. And we need to flood the airways. Just flood the airways. Just start talking about freedom. Just flood it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just start flooding the airways. We got to flood the airways, folks. We got to flood it. Got to flood the zone. We got to flood the zone. That's the strategy. Yeah. All right. That's it.